So with everybody sitting down, I think, just about, we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a full morning. We're going to start off with Director of Army Aviation in the G357, an old friend, but not an old man, Major General Erik Peterson. So Erik, if you'll come on up here, and we'll get started.
Good morning, colleagues. I sincerely appreciate the commitment of the handful of you that have showed up for this morning's session after last night's festivities. I think I saw a handful of you just a few hours ago dragging back to your rooms. And thanks to all of you, soldiers, mentors, advocates, industry partners alike, for your enthusiastic and substantive participation in this week's forum. And thanks again to Quad A for organizing this important engagement and professional opportunity. This week we recognize 75 years of Army aviation, a relatively short period, really just the span of one lifetime. Army aviation has grown from a nascent niche capability to a substantial component of our total Army force and an absolutely indispensable part of the way our joint combined arms team fights. Envied by allies and feared by our foes, today, Army aviation, all components, active, Army National Guard, Army Reserve, are operating across 39 countries, providing unparalleled support over a wide array of challenging missions. All of them reinforcing the time-honored Army aviation trust between the soldier and the supported commander and soldier on the ground. Allow me to briefly elaborate on a couple of contemporary examples. As was made very apparent yesterday during the awards ceremony, Task Force Victory, 1st Infantry Division CAB, recently returned from Afghanistan. They deployed in August of 2016 as a multi-component total Army aviation team made up of units from 5 active duty cabs and 4 National Guard and Army Reserve cabs. The entire brigade task force did not have the opportunity to train collectively prior to deployment. However, the effective use of distributed mission command, both in preparation and in their dispersed execution, provided a key to mission success. Task Force Victory flew over 36,000 hours without a Class A or B accident in the exceptionally challenging Afghan environment, certainly a significant accomplishment and a solid reflection of leadership, professionalism, and teamwork across the entire multi-component team. Of particular note during their deployment, the demand for medevac in support of both U.S. and coalition partners was particularly high, as partnered and advised Afghan forces increased aggressive operations against their foe. In the end, medevac crews from each component, Charlie 2-1 medevac, active duty from Fort Riley, Gulf, 1st of the 204th medevac from Nebraska, Army National Guard, and Charlie, 7th of the 158th USAR from Fort Knox, were decorated for valor in the conduct of their life-saving missions, under fire in the face of a determined foe. Reinforcing the strength of our total Army aviation team, 77th Combat Aviation Brigade, the Peacemakers, Army National Guard, headquartered in Arkansas, comprised of units from 11 states and territories, as well as active and reserve component units, is completing a uniquely challenging, exceptionally successful deployment in support of Operation Spartan Shield, which additionally included simultaneous support to U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq, Syria, and Afghanistan, among others. The Peacemaker team supported 5 major commands across 5 countries and 12 separate deployed locations. The multi-compo brigade flew over 40,000 hours, safely moved over 35,000 U.S. service members and support personnel, and engaged over 2,000 targets with exceptional precision and lethality. And on the heels of the 77th is the 29th CAB, Army National Guard, out of Maryland, more than equal to the task, leading yet another multi-compo team. These are just a couple of brief examples of our total Army aviation team quietly and professionally engaged and present, defeating our enemies, deterring foes, and enabling our partners across the globe. Now, for over 60 years of our branch's distinguished 75-year history, our headquarters Department of the Army Staff has had a specifically designated Army Aviation Staff Directorate and a Director of Army Aviation. This is unique to Army Aviation and is not replicated by other branches. A little over a year ago, that 60-year history of focused advocacy and coordinating capability nearly came to an end. With the Army facing very tough fiscal and end strength decisions and a specific congressional mandate to substantially cut headquarters strengths, the Directorate of Army Aviation, DAMO AV, found itself on the chopping block. However, due in no small part to the strong advocacy of a parade of very distinguished former Army leaders, many of whom are present today, we have decisively reversed the course. Our current Army leadership has reinvested a general officer billet to lead the Directorate, and the Directorate has grown. In light of this reinvigoration and after some organizational analysis, we've made a few changes. Specifically, we've shifted into 3 divisions more directly aligned with corresponding Army staff and subordinate commands and our weighted efforts. Our goal is to be better postured to accomplish our cross-functional steady-state responsibilities while also maintaining some flexibility for the inevitable emerging requirements. In detail, our Aviation Operations and Integration Division combines 2 previously separate divisions and is focused on readiness, global force management, synchronization of current and near-term operations, training and resources, the flying hour program oversight, and training support to our allies. One of Ops and Integration's primary efforts is the implementation of the Quarterly Aviation Synchronization Meeting, or the QASM, a forum dedicated to improving the synchronization of key aviation resources across the Army, FORSCOM, and other Army service component commands. The forum provides a venue for Army aviation leaders to share lessons and concerns, and also for supported senior commanders to share their observations and refine priorities for the broader Army aviation enterprise. Our Ops and Integration team is also focusing substantial effort on resolving the growing gap of foreign military sales training requirements. The demand from our foreign partners is growing exponentially, and this bodes well for improved readiness and interoperability, but comes with a proportional demand for training from entry level to graduate and even collective. The demand for the training is far outstripping our institutional capacity, and we're working closely with Army Service Component Commands, Army Security Assistance and Training Leadership, and our partner nations to prioritize and find some innovative solutions, and we remain open to ideas. Another area of Ops and Integration's emphasis is a comprehensive review of our approach to individual and collective readiness resourcing, commonly known as the Flying Hour Program. Through multiple nested efforts, we're attempting to refine flying hour and aviation training costs, link specific resourcing to readiness goals, and update models that underpin budgeting and programming. This effort is very closely aligned with and has emphasis on attaining higher levels of training of collective readiness and the air-ground operations proficiency required to counter a near-peer competitor. As a relatively expensive enterprise, we're increasingly asked to substantiate our costs and more precisely forecast, and our legacy practices continue to fall short in that regard. Our Systems Division will continue to focus on platforms and material solutions, aligned with the Army's material requirements and acquisition lifecycle management processes. They integrate closely with Training and Doctrine Command, Army G8, ASALT, PEO Aviation, AMCOM, and certainly our industry partners. And the most significant recent change to systems is the integration of UAS, which was previously a separate division. Prioritization and resourcing of our modernization efforts remains one of our most important functions. Our Systems Division is at the forefront. As an enterprise, we've made some tough but well-informed choices in focusing on the number one priority of readiness, while also securing future capability and preserving overmatch. Specifically, we continue to field the UH-60 Mike, providing exceptional assault helicopter capability to more and more of our formations. We're moving forward enthusiastically with the UH-60 Victor, and we look forward to the performance, sustainability, and affordability that it will provide. We continue to field the AH-64 Echo, providing amazing advancements in lethality and performance, and while doing so, we continue to upgrade and sustain our exceptionally capable AH-64 Delta fleet. Having our attack and reconnaissance formations equipped with the first and second most capable attack helicopters in the world is not a bad place to be. We continue to see great benefit and contribution from the UH-72, both in our CONUS support and our institutional training fleets, and we hope to stay the course in our effort to modernize our legacy training fleet. We're moving forward with our effort to modernize the CH-47F and MH-47G fleets under the H-47 Block II effort, improving performance, regaining critical payload, and improving long-term sustainability of one of our highest demand and most flexible platforms. We remain committed to the improved turbine engine program and look forward to the performance enhancements, improved sustainability, and reliability that it will provide. The investments in ITEP and other turbine engine initiatives are providing long overdue boosts and advancements to turbine engine technology and the resultant performance and reliability that will serve our Army well across a variety of platforms well into the future. We continue to work with both our joint and industry partners on the Future Vertical Lift Initiative, and we're looking forward with great anticipation to the upcoming flights of the Joint Multi-Role Technology Demonstrators, the continued advancements of other groundbreaking enabling technologies under the JMRTD umbrella, all of which are helping us mature vital technologies and drive down risk, and which have the opportunity to inform and influence future vertical lift, which promises to be the greatest leap in vertical lift performance and capability in any of our lifetimes. With respect to our unmanned fleet, we continue to modernize and improve the Shadow and look forward to fielding the improved Gray Eagle. We also remain interested in substantial improvements that industry partners are making in the range, station time, payloads, deployability, survivability, and runway independence of their innovative new UAS platforms. Across our fleet, we're substantially investing in survivability and ensuring our soldiers and platforms continue to have the best capabilities in the face of evolving threats and in degraded visual environments. We're also improving our sensors and navigation, communication capabilities and equipment. Additionally, we continue to improve the lethality of all of our weapon systems and remain committed to enhancing lethality through precision, increased standoff, and maximized stowed kills. Our newly formed Force Analysis and Plans Division serves two primary functions: strategic planning and strategic communications and outreach. Force Analysis and Plans provides Army aviation expertise and integrates into the Army Campaign Plan, Total Army Analysis, and the Program Objective Memorandum Build. They're also reinforcing our collaboration with the Army G3's Strategic Plans Division and Future Force Studies and Experimentation. In their long-term planning and implementation role, they also have oversight of several key multi-year efforts. Specifically, Force Analysis and Plans continues to lead the governance and implementation of recommendations from last year's Holistic Army Aviation Task Force report. This effort to restore Army aviation's decisive action readiness has strong support and oversight from our Army's most senior leadership and is a primary line of effort in our Army Campaign Plan. They're also leading our efforts for the implementation of Army aviation peculiar aspects of the National Commission of the Future of the Army. Among those recommendations are the retention of an 11th active component combat aviation brigade, which will keep the 2nd CAB in Korea, the retention of 4 AH-64 battalions in the Army National Guard, and expanded multi-compo partnership and potentially organizations. The devil in the details is that none of those recommendations came with any funding. Additionally, our Force Analysis Division is leading our Army-wide effort to counter our growing deficit in the warrant officer pilot manning. The cumulative effect of 7 years of constrained funding has resulted in a substantial gap in our junior warrant officer aviation population. Out of necessity, tough decisions were made as we prioritized short-term readiness over long-term recruiting and training. We simply could not afford to train the number of new pilots needed to sustain a healthy force. This is a growing challenge that's masked by a relatively healthy current aggregate strength that is disproportionately top-heavy. We're already moving out on our efforts to correct this challenge by resourcing the training base at Fort Rucker to facilitate increasing throughput, increasing the accessions of regular Army aviation warrant officers over the next 2 to 3 years, and improving the retention of our current trained aviation warrant officer population. Lastly, the Force Analysis and Plans Division leads our engagements with members of Congress, their personal staffs and professional staff partners on the Hill, keeping them informed and providing the details and insights that enable them to help us improve readiness. Amidst all of this challenge and opportunity, Army aviation soldiers, the tools they employ, and the capabilities they bring to the Joint Combined Arms team are trusted, they're relevant, and they're in exceptionally high demand. And unfortunately, the greatest and most imminent threat to their readiness and ability to fully accomplish their chartered wartime mission remains our enduring domestic fiscal uncertainty. Even with the Bipartisan Budget Act in recent years, readiness has suffered across the Army's combat brigades. We haven't had an appropriation bill on time since fiscal year 2007, and we've agonized through 20 some odd continuing resolutions since fiscal year 2010. If we remain under a continuing resolution for 2017, our immediate readiness priorities will be delayed yet again, and readiness in the Army, to include Army aviation, will continue to degrade. Specifically, in the face of a continuing resolution this year, we will not be able to implement our pilot shortage mitigation strategies. Procurement of additional AH-64s to fill in current holes in units will be delayed. Key developmental priorities: improved turbine engine program, CH-47 Block 2, future vertical lift, will likely be slowed or delayed. Even more daunting, the imminent specter of the Budget Control Act and sequestration. Despite some promising dialogue, the Budget Control Act remains the law of the land. And under that law, compulsory fiscal controls will take place in fiscal year 18. Controls which provide the Army with significantly less funding than required to accomplish our tasked missions, adversely affecting readiness, modernization, and end strength across the Army, to include Army aviation. Under anticipated sequestration funding levels, I expect cessation of any Army aviation growth or force structure restoration, the inability to sustain increased training throughput to overcome pilot shortages, existing units reverting to lowest levels of collective readiness with only a few focused units truly ready for combat. Material development priorities: improved turbine engine program, future vertical lift, degraded visual environment, substantially delayed or outright paused. Multi-year procurement programs like the UH-60 Mike, the AH-64E, and potentially CH-47 Block 2, all at risk. So what do we do as an Army aviation enterprise in a community of interest? First, continue the dialogue. Leaders, advocates, industry partners alike remain transparent, collaborate, share ideas and innovations, communicate early and communicate often. And when we have the opportunity, consistently and objectively share our readiness concerns with members of Congress, the congressional staff teammates, and our appointed DoD and Army leadership. In closing, I'd like to briefly introduce, I'm not sure if they're all in the room this morning, the new DAMO AV leadership coming in this summer. Brigadier General Frank Tate will take lead of the Directorate, a significant upgrade given his experience and outstanding reputation. He'll be teamed with Colonel Lori Robinson as the Deputy Director, and Sergeant Major Mike Dove as the Directorate Senior Enlisted Advisor. Again, thanks to Quad A for the hard work that goes into these important forums. And as we close out this year's summit, please know that your entire Army aviation enterprise continues to move forward with strong leadership, clear vision, and unity of effort. Above the best, Army strong. Thank you.